Hi, it's Jerry with I Love RV Life. I've got a interesting project that I'm going to be doing here within the next few weeks, adding solar to a small camper. And I've been looking for a 200 amp hour battery that is value priced. And I have found this Power Queen 12 volt 200 amp hour plus battery. This is a low temperature lithium battery, 2,560 watt hours. This is a 200 amp hour battery. Here's the interesting thing about this. Not only does it have low temperature disconnect, not only is it 200 amp hours, it's $399. You ready for this? That's 13.5 cents a watt hour. I'm looking forward to testing this and then adding this to the solar project. Hi, it's Jerry. I've been talking about this for several weeks now. I have an upcoming project very soon where I'm going to be doing a small solar installation and lithium upgrade and some wiring and switching and things like that for my daughter and her husband's camper. Now the application here is primarily to run their refrigerator when they don't have shore power. So here's the application. They have a dual powered standard RV refrigerator that can run on either propane or it can run on 120 volts. Now, they're not going to be at the hunting camp all the time, primarily weekends and stuff like that. So when they're not there, they want to be able to keep things in the refrigerator, but they don't want the propane running for 5-6 days while they're not there. So they want to be able to have that 120 volts operating. So we have an inverter that we're going to be using. Again, 100 watts of solar starting. We may have to add to it later, we'll see. But I also wanted to have enough battery capacity to kind of get them over those cloudy days when they may not be able to get 100% performance out of that solar panel. So I was going to start with a 100 amp hour battery. I've decided to go with a 200 amp hour battery, and that's where this Power Queen 12.8 volt 200 amp hour battery comes into play. So I contacted them and said, look, here's the project. Would you be willing to provide a battery for us to evaluate? And they said, sure, we'll send you one. So this was sent to us for this evaluation. We're going to put it through the test. We're going to load test it. We're going to do a number of things just to see how it's going to perform. Now, a couple of other things about this application. Yes, we live in middle Georgia. It's not the coldest place in the world, but there's about 2 or 3 weeks, usually between January, sometimes early December, January, mid-February, that we'll get down into the 20-degree mark. And as you're aware, in lithium, you cannot charge your battery below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So if this thing was to get down, maybe even into the teens, sometimes it doesn't last long, but if the sun came up, this battery was below 32 degrees, the solar kicks in, boom, it would destroy one that didn't have low temperature disconnect. This has low temperature disconnect, so it's very important. The other thing, this is troll motor rated. So if you're looking for a trolling motor for your bass boat, this has that rating, and I'll share more why the amperage in the BMS supports trolling motors. So it'll work great in an RV environment. It'll also work well in a boating environment. So let me give you some specifications of this. Again, it has low temperature disconnect. That's very important for this hunting camp that it's going to be at. It is rated at 200 amp hours. We are going to load test that and verify it. It also has, and this is where it gets into that trolling motor, it's also kind of important if you're going to be running, say, an inverter that might have surge charges like from a conventional residential style refrigerator or a microwave, or you're needing to hook up a power tool like a skill saw, a drill, an air compressor, something like that. This has a 400 amp surge capability that will last for 5 seconds. And that helps you with the trolling motor. But what's even more important, this is where the trolling motor spec comes in. It will handle 1,000 amp surge for 1 second. So if you think about it, I kick that trolling motor on, you get that bang surge for less than a second. It tapers off and gets down to the normal amperage pull that you'll need. So that's why this is trolling motor specified. I like the size of this. It's going to fit well within their camper. They do have I think it's a 32-foot camper. It's a bunk model, Grand Design. we're going to have to probably change where the battery is going to be located, and as a result of that I need something that's not going to be too big. And this is only 21 inches wide by 8 inches by 8.5 inches. So I'm going to be able to find a number of places where this is going to fit. And compared to lead acid, you know, it weighs probably, I don't know, maybe half, maybe 60% of what a regular 12 volt lead acid battery. It only weighs 43 pounds, so that's going to be really great. And again, I've got to stress this. This has low temperature disconnect. I think that's a great value. But also very, very important, even though you can't charge it at 32 degrees, you can discharge this one down to -4. So again, if they're out at the hunting camp, they get up in the mornings, they need to be able to run something on the battery off the inverter, and it's not below -4, they'll be able to do that. And as soon as the temperature gets up at the hunting camp above 32 degrees and the sun comes back out, typically that's what happens here in Middle Georgia, it'll warm up pretty quick. We should be able to get up to 32 degrees and we can start charging again. So again, that application is going to be perfect for this. Now here's the other thing. I was looking something that was value priced. I value priced for them, but equally, if you're considering doing some type of a lithium upgrade and budget is an issue, out on the website today, this is the 1st of November, this battery is $399. Now $399, 2,560 watt hours, that comes out to 3.5 cents a watt. Think about that, 3.5 cents a watt, $399 for a 200 amp hour battery with low temperature disconnect. And if you're a fisherman, you've even got a trolling motor capability. So I think this is going to be a great value. Now here's what we're going to do from here. I've got a couple things that I want to be able to do as far as testing this battery and make sure it's going to work well for Julie and Josh. The first thing that I'm going to do is I've got a load tester. I'm going to put a continuous 10-hour load on this battery and just let it run. Now that refrigerator that we're going to be looking at does a fraction of 10 amps, but the biggest issue is I want to validate that this is in fact a 2,560 watt hour, 200 amp hour battery. So we'll put that load tester on at 10 amps. It should take at least 20 hours if you do the math right. And then the other thing that I want to be able to see is how the BMS is going to perform. In other words, putting a constant drain, running it down to nothing, will the BMS allow it to kick back in, or am I going to have to jump start it? So we're going to do that. I'm just going to let the load run until I just completely drain it, and either the BMS will disconnect or again I'm going to have to jump start it to get it going again. You know, if it does really well, and I think that it will, I might even put it in our big fifth wheel and just let it run on a residential refrigerator for a period of time and just see how that looks. Their refrigerator should pull out less power, I'm hoping, than what that residential refrigerator will operate at. So we'll see how that's going to perform. We now have a full charge on the battery. It took several hours to get this done. It came about half charged. So the next thing I want to do that you see right here is we've now have a load tester. So I'm going to put a continuous 10 amp load on the battery just to be able to determine, is this truly a 200 amp hour battery? Do we truly have 2,560 watt hours of capacity? And at 10 amps, if this is in fact a 200 amp hour battery, then it's going to take, you know, at least 20 hours to be able to get this test done. So it's mid-afternoon now. We'll let it run through the afternoon, probably have to run during the night, and then this tester will shut down when the BMS turns off. Again, this will test complete discharge down to the BMS capacity. So this is a really good thorough test if you're going to stress a battery to see exactly how it's going to perform. And I'm really excited to see what these tests are going to do. So I'll show you the setup and then we'll go ahead and get the test started. Okay, this is the test setup. You can see the load tester that's located here. Getting ready to get it started, and we'll see exactly how it's going to perform over, what will it be, 20 plus hours? We'll see how long it's going to take to be able to get this done. Looking forward to seeing the results. Good number 6 strand wire, 15 amp fuse that you see located here just to be able to protect both the BMS and the load tester just in case something doesn't go well. I'm excited to see how this battery is going to perform. Let's get it started. All right, let's see where we ended up at. The capacity meter ran all yesterday afternoon and sometime into the evening. And this was running at 10 amps during this testing period. Oh, this performed much better than expected. Much better than expected. A little over 209 amp hours on a 200 amp hour battery. And the battery's rated at 2,560 watt hours. And the calculation came out about 100 more watt hours than what's advertised. So right at 2,668 watt hours. And it took almost 21 hours to take this to a full discharge, or at least to where the BMS turned off. So I'm very pleased with that. I think this battery is going to perform very, very well. All right, we finished that load testing, and we've run this battery way, way, way down. So the BMS did either kick it off at 209 amps of capacity. In real life, I would set the capacity up to, only take it down to 90%. That's a good rule of thumb. But again, the whole purpose of this is to test this in a worst case scenario. So Power Queen, and don't get nervous, we'll see if it's going to work. So my battery charger here is only 20 amps. It will handle a battery that is down below its rated disconnect. And it's got that pop that wakes the BMS up. So we'll see if we can wake the BMS up and get it charged and see what's going to happen here. I see a green light for power. Boom. Red light. That's a good sign. All right, we're charging the battery now. This is 20 amps, 200 amp hour battery. Took it down to 209 amps of capacity, so it's dead. So we're going to have to see what this is going to do. I'm going to have to bring all these cells back up to 100% before we go forward. And that's going to take 10 plus hours. So it's late afternoon. We will probably have to let it run after midnight tonight. So I'll let it run. I'll come back tomorrow and we'll do those other types of tests. We'll hook an inverter up to it and then go from there. So let's see how it's going to perform. So far, this battery is exceeding my expectations. After that extensive load test, which ended up being favorable, I've now charged the battery overnight and we brought it up to full power. I'll put the meter on it, but I believe it's 13.33 volts. And on a lithium battery, that is a full charged battery when you see that. And I'll show you the test environment here. I've got a 3,000 watt inverter, and the reason I'm doing that is this battery is rated at a 200 amp continuous discharge. And I want to be able to not only see that, but I want to take it above that. And I've got a clamp-on meter that I'll be using here to be able to show the discharge out of the battery, so we'll monitor that as well. And then I'll show you over here what I've done. I have two 1,500 watt heaters, just little small heaters, basic heaters, and they've got 3 heat settings that I can kind of adjust what we'll be doing as far as how much of a load we can put on. I think from some of the other tests that I've been doing in the past, I think this will give us a more consistent test using identical heaters. It won't be as noisy too, so you can kind of hear me give you the results. So let's check a few things here before we get started. Let's double check the voltage here on the battery and just make sure that we are at a full charge. So we'll do that. Should be around 13.3. So we are at a full charge, 13.25. That's close enough for a full charge. I'm more interested in load testing than I am the full charge. We've already done that. Let's go ahead and get our clamp-on meter and place that here. And I'll get that turned on so we can get that reading. So right now, all you're going to be seeing is what I call vampire current, which is, let's see, something like about an amp, almost an amp, 0.9. That's going to be coming out of the inverter. So kind of in its idle state, we'll go ahead and turn the inverter on. and let it boot up. And it's reading 12.9. I'm going to go with my voltmeter before I go with what's on this. And you see no wattage. So let's go ahead and get this started. We'll start with this first heater. We'll watch this thing jump up in wattage. Get it off a fan, put it on heat. And we're seeing 560 watts at the inverter. And here we're going to be seeing 47 amps coming out of the battery. All right, let's go ahead and take it up another notch. We're now at 860 watts, 850, 860 watts. And we are at 72 amps out of the battery. Voltage is staying very, very good. Not a lot of sag. That's important. We'll just use the meter here for now. It was at 12.9. We're at 12.7. That's fine. Let's go to 1500 watts. At least that's what the heater's rated for. Fan's going to go on. It's going to get a little noisy. So we're at almost 1400 watts. And we're at 124 amps. Let's go ahead now and turn on the second heater. We're now at 1910 watts. And we're at 173 amps coming out of the battery. So we haven't reached that 200 mark yet. We'll go up one more step. All right, 2100 watts, and we should be getting very, very, very close. Now, from dialing this in to get exactly to 200, I don't have a way to do that, unfortunately. I'm at 192 amps. Cables feel great. Battery's performing well. So the only thing I can do is take this up above the 200, so we'll take this up to about 2,400, just slightly over 2,400 watts. And at that stage, we have exceeded the 200 amp continuous, so we're at 231 amps. Now, I'll mention this. I would strongly recommend, I don't know how long the BMS will sustain this. We'll leave it on for a while. I would strongly suggest you putting a 200 amp fuse on this, because right now we are definitely exceeding the BMS capability. It's holding it. And I don't have anything else to plug in to take it up to another notch. So 231 amps. Now again, it does have a 400 amp surge at 5 seconds, but we are running 231. So it's able to meet that demand. Cables aren't getting hot. I don't feel any heat radiating out of the battery. That's good. Cables are doing fantastic. $2,400 watts. Do see a good bit of sag, but again, I think that's one thing that we're probably seeing here is that, you know, we're maxing. Oh, that cable's starting to get warm now. Again, I wouldn't recommend anytime running 200 amps continuous for any long period of time on any battery, because you're just going to deplete the capability. 232. We do have some voltage sag down to 11.7. Let's cut this thing back now, see if that voltage comes up and get it back into a more normal operating range. We're still high. We're still at 192 amps, right at the top end of the rated BMS. We'll take it down again another step and see if the voltage is coming back. Now we're at 1,800, almost 1,900 watts. Seeing that voltage clean up, still well within tolerance of the inverter. And we're down to 160
73 amps. Battery's performing well. That cable did get it did get a little warm. It got a little bit warm at that 231. And then I would say, you know, most of the times for the applications that we run, you know, we're in the 1400 watt range when we're running a microwave. Down at 125. And then I'm going to take this all the way down. You know, this is very, very high for us, even in our camper. We're usually around the 300, 350 range. That's the, you know, running the refrigerator when it comes off and on, a few other devices. That's what we typically see. And then look at that voltage, how it recovered. Even the inverter quietened down. It didn't have to run the fan quite as loud. We're at 12.7, so it's not as upset. Now it's showing battery capacity. It's still quite high after all that. Pretty happy with that overall. And we got a constant 48, almost 49 amps coming out of the battery. So load test, I think the BMS did what it was supposed to do.
What do we do from here? I think maybe just some practical application just to see how it's going to run. I'm going to put a charger back on it. We've taken it down about half, so it'll take a couple hours. I think I can get the battery back up to capacity for this afternoon. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put it in the Montana fifth wheel, and we'll go ahead and run the refrigerator. And I'm sure it will run overnight. It'll be late this afternoon before I get to do this. We'll let the refrigerator run overnight and just see how it would do on a tow. I'll also turn the solar panels off, although today's real hazy and cloudy. I don't think we'd be getting much solar anyway. But we'll go ahead and do that and see where we end up with this Power Queen. You know, this is a good battery. Again, $399, just a little over 13 cents. And a watt hour, that's really some very, very good performance out of a value priced lithium battery. Okay, I'll see you back in a couple hours. Okay, we've got everything set up outside. Make sure the rectifier, yep, inverter is on, showing 13.5 volts. That means the refrigerator is on and running. It is 37 degrees. And the refrigerator is 0 degrees in the freezer. Now this would be what we would do when we tow. And we won't have all these lights on, but we'd let the refrigerator go for a while. I don't know, let's let it, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's let it run for a few hours. I tell you what, let's go ahead and turn the TV on. The TV is you know, hooked to a sound bar. You've seen, if you've watched my videos in the past, you've done that. Let's turn the TV on just for a little while. Have the sound bar here running. Internet is going to be off. Let's get some internet going. So I have just a little hotspot here, and I have a portable. So on our inverter here, if you've not watched our channel before in the past, it runs, when we're hooked up to, you know, campground power, pedestal power, it'll run our refrigerator, our TV, our sound bar, the electric recliners, that kind of stuff, a few other things. Oh, let's do this too. Let's at least make sure this battery is going to handle the slides. I haven't done that yet. We'll just do one just to make sure, and try not to bump the camper. So. Oh yeah, it's handling that just well. I may bump the tripod. Let's see what's going to happen. Coming. Going to be close. Going to be close. Yeah, we're good. So these are hydraulic slides, not your, you know, yeah, they're electric, hydraulic. This Lippert hydraulic system does pull a lot of power. It's got like an 80 amp circuit breaker, so ran the slides, no problem whatsoever. So, you know, I've got all these lights on. These are LED lights. They're not a big deal. And let's see if we've got internet. Yep, we've got internet now. Let's go ahead and turn the TV on. And we'll let it, I'm not going to be abusive with this. It's kind of, if we were towing, pulling over for the evening, we would do that for a little while. So this might make a whole lot of noise here. Yep, there you go. So, we'll do Joan's favorite channel, the jewelry channel. If you only knew. Let's, okay. All right, so we're going to let this Power Queen 200 amp hour battery run a while. Again, I think I'll let the TV run for 2 or 3 hours with the hotspot going, sound bar going, big issues, the refrigerator. Let's look at the smart shunt really quick and just see how much power that we're pulling. Okay, now that we have everything on, let's just look at the smart shunt really quick. And we've used probably 1%. Okay, I expected that we used 1% because, I hit that slide out, and that slide out takes a lot. Voltage is great, 13.14. We've got, let's just call it 22 amps, 21.9, 288 watts. So, that's, it's going to pull a little bit of current for a while. So we're just going to let that TV run for just a little bit. And then I'm going to shut that off, and we'll just see what the refrigerator's going to pull. And we're just going to let it run. It's saying right now that we'll run 7 hours and 30 minutes. So I think 2 hours of TV's fine. And then we'll just let the refrigerator do its thing. So that'll make some big improvements without that TV running for that whole period of time. All right, let's let her go. And I'll see you back in, let's say, 2 hours. Okay, I think it's time to turn the TV off. It's been a couple hours. There we go. Let's just kind of check the shunt and see where we're at real quick. Won't take but a minute. Okay, let's look at the Victron app. There we go, smart shunt. Let's see what happened after 2 hours of TV and soundbar. That wasn't bad, 15%. So we're still cooking at about 13.17 volts, and we've got currently about 10 amps being pulled. So let's let this run a little while. It's saying 13 hours. We'll see. We'll see. We're going to go ahead and let it run for a little while, and then we'll see what this ends up looking like. All right. Let's see if we're still working and online. Yep. Refrigerator's working. Let's get some lights on. All right. That turned out good. We have lights, 13 volts showing on the rectifier. I'd rather use the smart shunt. Let's see where we're standing. All right, 10 o'clock. Let's see where we're at with the smart shunt. Running from yesterday, pretty much all day. Oh, look at that. 33% left. Oh, that's amazing. All right, good battery. Awesome. All right, how about that? 33% left. Well, that just kind of goes to show you that even when you're looking at these smart shunts and you're using your battery in your RV, depending on your loads that are going on, the smart shunt will calculate how much time is left. So, if a lot of things are on, it's going to say, hey, you've got hours left. If a lot of things are off, you're going to have more hours, obviously, in the calculation. Refrigerator's been running all day. My hotspot, which has no battery in it, is just pulling from the AC, the 120 volts. It's been working all day. Then we've got blink cameras in here that we use for security when we're out and about or not here, or just keeping a watch on the kitties. That was running. I ran the TV for a couple hours yesterday. I didn't think it was a big deal just to run that, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. That wasn't the goal here. The goal was, will a Power Queen 12 volt 200 amp hour plus battery run our RV, say for an overnight stop and after a long tow, and then a couple hours of TV? And The answer is yes, it is. And we still have capacity with 33% left. I could run the slides in and out. We could hook up the camper. The solar, we could turn the solar on. We could head on down the road. And if it was a bright sunny day, as it is today, then we would charge the battery back up. Probably have a lot of power coming back into it. It is a little bit after 10 o'clock, so this has been running since about noonish yesterday, something like that, a little after noon, and maybe close to 20 hours. Close to 20 hours, not exactly, but very, very close to it. And we still have a ton of capacity left. So my vote on this Power Queen, good job. I like it. This is definitely going in Julie and Josh's camper that will be doing that solar project later on this year. It's going to be their primary battery. It's all they're going to have. It's this one battery, and then we'll have a little bit of solar going into it, not a lot. And may have to add some solar a little bit later on, just depending on weather conditions. But right now, I give this battery a good thumbs up. So first of all, I'd like to thank Power Queen for sending this to us and giving us a chance to evaluate a economical battery. Again, $399 is what it's selling for right now off their website. 13.5 cents a watt. That's crazy. That's a great value. So I'm going to put some links in today's description if you're interested in going to Power Queen and looking at their products. And if you go out to ilovervlife.com, you can see a blog on this battery. And the video will be there as well, but we'll have the spec sheet that you can look at quickly. And again, links if you're interested in learning more information about the Power Queen products. Thanks again to Power Queen for sending this to us. We're really enjoying this little season that we have here, that we're doing a lot of power evaluations. I hope that's helping you as you're looking for solutions for your RV travel and for disaster recovery. And we'll have a few more here in the future as we go forward through this season. I appreciate you watching. Thanks a whole bunch. We'll be traveling soon. Hope to see you in the campground. And we do this for one reason. You absolutely have it right. It's because I love RV life.